Hello again, and welcome back to Science and Imagination, part of your library summer reading program. We have an interesting little project here. One of my favorite sciences is chemistry. There's all sorts of really interesting things that we can do. And if we go back a long time, if we go back years and years and years, at the very beginning of our understanding of chemistry, there was this thing called alchemy. And we have all sorts of their writings, so you can actually, if you look really hard, you can find the writings of some of the old alchemists. And it really is just the very beginning of chemistry. One of the sort of mythical goals for alchemists was trying to turn lead into gold. So, of course, that's not really easy to do. It's not something we can do. But it so happens that I do have some lead here. This is a kind of lead called lead nitrate. And I just want to make a little quick note here that lead can be very dangerous. So we want to be really careful whenever we're working with something like this to make sure that we don't get ourselves hurt. So you can see I'm wearing gloves. And we want to make sure that we're careful. But while we can't really turn lead into gold, we can do something with it that looks really, really interesting. So if you look in these two flasks, you're not going to see much of anything. So in here I have dissolved that lead nitrate, and over here I have another chemical with potassium iodide. And right now they just look clear. So you don't see anything, and I am going to take this little pipette right here, and I'm going to move some of this right into this. And I want you to get a good close-up for when that happens. We're just going to drop just a little bit in, and let's see what happens. So you see that really brilliant yellow color that forms in there right as those drops come down into my solution. It looks really interesting when I add a whole bunch all at once. You can see all that yellow forming. So what I'm going to do is I am going to take my solution here and add it to this solution here, and let's see what happens.
It turns into orange juice.
You can see all those really interesting pearlescent colors moving around in it. Turns that really brilliant yellow color really kind of interesting to look at, and that is the lead reacting with iodine to form that really interesting color. Now what's really neat, and what we're going to show you here in a second, is when we heat this up, all of that yellow color is going to go away. Now this may take a minute, so we may let this fade out and come back here in a second, but we're going to heat this really gently and dissolve all of those crystals so that it's going to turn clear again. All right, so we're back looking at our experiment here, and if you look really closely here at this solution, we've turned it clear again. We applied some heat and stirred it for a little while, got it almost hot enough to boil. You can see some steam rising up off of it, see all the condensation there. But after we apply that heat, all of those nice crystals that formed have dissolved away and left us back with a clear solution. And so what's really, really cool, and why they call this the golden rain demonstration, is that as this solution cools back down towards room temperature, we're going to start to see those crystals form again. These really nice six-sided golden crystals just dissolve, just coming out together right out of that solution. So we're going to give it a little bit of time to cool down, and we're going to come back and take a look at it after a little bit longer and watch some of those crystals form. All right, so as you can see, we've been letting our solution cool back down to room temperature. And as that happens, the particles of lead iodide that are in the solution are starting to recrystallize. And you can see them just floating there in the middle of the solution and just slowly raining down to gather together down there on the bottom. You see that really brilliant gold color that it makes. And that's why they call this the golden rain experiment, because you see all of that really nice sort of six-sided or hexagonal shaped particles just slowly raining out of the solution. It's really, really beautiful. Alright, so now it's had plenty of time to cool, and you can see all those really nice crystals, brilliant gold color coming out of the solution there. Now, I haven't turned lead into gold, but I have made a really interesting demonstration of some really interesting chemistry. So you may have heard of one of the famous alchemists that was said to have been able to turn lead into gold using something called the Philosopher's Stone. Now, here you may have heard of it as the Sorcerer's Stone. So if you read the first book of the Harry Potter series, you would have heard of Nicholas Flamel. And that was the person who had the Sorcerer's Stone in that story. Well, Nicholas Flamel was a real man. He was a real person, lived in the Middle Ages, and he was one of the early alchemists. So just a really interesting look at some chemistry and how that's been used in imagination. I hope it sparked your imagination today, and I hope you have a great day.